Week 8 of the college football season was one of the most thrilling yet, with an upset on Friday night to a top 5 team that continued with multiple ranked teams going down in Week 8. And today we are going to be talking about the 15 players that I think either helped or hurt their draft stock during Week 8 of the college football season. If you guys are new to the channel, we do these stock watches every week, so be sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you never miss out on a video. Also, comment down below, who do you guys think won the week? And be sure to check out my draft guide, which will be linked in the description below. It's a one-time purchase of $20 with over 450 prospects, including all of the players we are going to talk about today, with full scouting reports, evals, player measurement stats, all of the information you guys need to get prepared for draft season. But I don't want to waste another second. Let's go ahead and get into it. Starting off with Chris Bell, who had another fantastic game. 9 receptions for 136 yards and 2 touchdowns. Chris Bell is a player that is drawing a lot of Xavier Legette comparisons right now because of the way that he moves in the open field. And I got to be honest, I see it. This is a player that is a freak athlete at his size. Like we said, he's 6'2", 220 pounds. So he is a big physical receiver that is incredibly quick in the open field. He is so good after the catch. You see this 92 yards after the catch against Miami. A defense that had been really, really good. They just find ways to get him the ball, and when he finds a seam, he is going to take advantage of it and turn it into a massive play. Chris Bell was a top 10 receiver for me, a top 50 player in the class coming into the year. And the more I watch him, the more I am just super impressed by the way that he is able to move, the way that he is able to win at the wide receiver position. And while I'm not positive he's a first-round caliber receiver, he still has some limitations that I'm worried about. I wouldn't be shocked at all if a team takes him early in the second round because his traits are really enticing. He can make big-time plays. So I really like Chris Bell. I thought he had a fantastic week for Louisville. But we have to talk about the other side of this game and the two Miami players. Carson Beck put up an absolute stinker. Just when you think Carson Beck is back, and this is the quarterback that many people thought had an opportunity to be a top 5 pick at one point, he does something like this, and you're all the way out yet again. He was absolutely horrible against Louisville, who is not a great defense, by the way, particularly in the secondary. 25 of 35, 271 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. And to make matters worse, on the last interception, he decided to take to the press conference and blame the receiver. Carson Beck has really been an interesting player to watch because if you're watching these games, they're not asking him to push the ball down the field really at all. It's a lot of short passes, screens, and that's what he did so well at Georgia, and it's working. But when he's asked to push the ball upfield, when he's asked to make plays with his arms, I don't think Carson Beck has it. And I'll be on the record, I was on the Carson Beck hype train coming into the year. I thought that he had a chance to get back to that early on in the year. I was doing my victory laps. But this is exactly what we saw last year at Georgia. The bad decision-making, the putting the ball in harm's way, the not taking accountability. That's the type of stuff that's going to drive NFL teams crazy, and it's going to push him down the draft board. So an absolutely horrible performance. Miami's going to fall in the top 25. Now, what I will say, I don't think it's as significant as a drop as some people are going to say. I still think this is a very talented Miami team, but Carson Beck has to play better than this if Miami is going to have any shot at making the college football playoff and making a run in the playoff. But I think with this performance, Carson Beck is firmly out of the Heisman race for probably the rest of the year. You just can't have this type of game on your resume. But on the opposite side, I didn't think Ruben Bain was very impactful either. Just 2 pressures in this game. And a Louisville offensive line, that had really struggled to stop pass rushers. Ruben Bain had a tough night against the Louisville offensive line. 2 run stops didn't really make an impact. Now, I say stock down. It's hard to really come down from the season that Ruben Bain is having, and he still made an okay impact as a run defender. This is not any sort of significant drop-off or anything. He's still my number 1 player in the class, but we can't just pretend that he had an okay game. He has to be better than that if Miami's going to win, and he just wasn't felt. His the defensive prowess that we know he has, the presence wasn't felt for Louisville, and he's got to be better than that as well if we're going to talk about him as a potential number one overall pick. So slight stock down from Ruben Bain, but I'm not too worried about that one at all. This is going to be the first of, I want to say, 4 or 5 running backs we're going to talk about today, because the running back class is really starting to take shape, and Darius Taylor had an awesome game against Nebraska. Nebraska was favored going into this. They were ranked, and Minnesota kind of ran them off the field behind the back of Darius Taylor, who was a top 10 running back in the class for me coming into the year. He reminds me, he's got such a unique running style. He's a big running back, not the most athletic, but he had a really good performance. 24 carries, 148 yards, had a touchdown. He's also a great receiving threat. I was really high on Darius Taylor coming into the year, and he just hadn't really put up the performances that you wanted to see. 6 foot, 215 pounds. He's a good receiver. I loved his contact balance and vision that he plays with, and he's able to make guys miss in the open field. This was a really nice win for Minnesota, a team that I was really high on coming into the year, mainly because I thought they'd be able to run the ball effectively. Darius Taylor played incredible yesterday against Nebraska. He is a big stock-up candidate for me. And going to the defensive side, a couple of defensive linemen here. Derek Moore from Michigan. He got overshadowed last year because of Josiah Stewart and some of the other defensive linemen that Michigan had that got drafted pretty high. But Derek Moore was a player that a lot of people in the NFL draft community liked a lot. And I just wasn't on board with him getting a ton of hype. I still thought he was a good player, 6'3", 256 pounds, nice explosiveness and bend. But I just didn't love his athleticism and his consistency as a run defender. But as a pass rusher, he has the traits, and he was really good today against a pretty solid Washington offensive line. 4 pressures, 2 sacks, 2 run stops, a forced fumble in this game. He's a guy that can win with speed to the edge, and he showed that today. Great bend, great power in his game as well. I thought he had a really good defensive line performance for an edge class that is already supremely talented. Derek Moore reminding us that, hey, I'm still here. I can still have these type of performances. It just adds to the depth in this edge rusher class. So a nice week from Derek Moore. And then UCF, Malachi Lawrence, another player that I got eyes on over the summer. I thought he was more of a day 3 talent. And I know there's some people in the draft community that think he's a top 5 edge rusher in the class. And I think that's absolutely ridiculous. But what he does do is he can get after the quarterback. He's a really fun designated pass rusher. Very similar numbers to Derek Moore. 4 pressures, 2 sacks, 2 run stops in this game. What I like about Lawrence is the number of pass rush moves that he's able to win with. He's got swipes and bend and power in his overall arsenal, but I just felt like he didn't know what to use at what time. He's not the strongest player, and he misses a lot of tackles. So while I don't think this is a guy that is a day 2 prospect or a top 5 edge rusher like some people seem to think, I still think this is a talented rusher that he might be able to be like a Braden Swinson type, a day 3 pick that can maybe give you some sort of an impact as a pass rusher here and there. But nice week for him against a good West Virginia, or a West Virginia team, I'll just say that. Nice game for Malachi Lawrence. Moving on to Lawson Lucky. The Georgia offense has been infuriating to watch at times because this is a team that really went out and they prioritized adding playmakers. Zachariah Branch, London Humphreys last year, Noah Thomas from Texas A&M. But I think they have neglected the tight ends on this team. We saw Oscar Delp a couple of weeks ago get the ball in space with incredible speed after the catch. But I thought Lawson Lucky was probably the more impressive overall tight end of the two, at least from a receiving aspect. 6'4", 240 pounds. He's got good routes. He is a nice overall player with the ability to stretch the field vertically, but I haven't felt like Georgia really tapped into his skill set whatsoever this year. And they did today in a big spot against Ole Miss, and he performed. 5 receptions, 43 yards, 3 touchdowns, pretty much matching his production from the rest of the season. And I hope that this wakes them up a little bit. And they're like, hey, we got a couple of guys here in Delp and Lucky that can make plays with the football in their hands. It can be chain movers. They can be red zone threats for you. Lawson Lucky's not going to bring you much as a blocker, but what he does do is he is a good route runner with hands, and he can be an impact in the receiving game like we saw today. It was a big part of the reason why Georgia was able to win against Ole Miss in a game where they struggled on the defensive side of the ball. Lawson Lucky stepped up big. I thought he had a really nice day. And then on the other side of the field, Xavier Harris is a really interesting player. The defensive tackle from Ole Miss, the size of this player is just so ridiculous. 6'7", 330 pounds. He is a hard hitter. He's a good run defender. But where you really wanted to see him improve was as a pass rusher. And I thought that we saw a little bit today. Had a sack, 4 tackles, 2 of those for a loss. He's not the greatest athlete in the world. It's hard to be when you're 330 pounds, but a guy that's had a pretty productive season so far for Ole Miss, and 10 pressures are already this season, which is the most of his career. He's got 2 sacks, also a career high. He added another one today. I'm very intrigued. I'm going to get back into the tape on him because I wasn't in love with this tape over the summer, but he's really impressed me in the little bit I have gotten to see, and I thought he had a great day today for the Ole Miss defensive front. Moving on to another running back, Robert Henry Jr. Now, UTSA got absolutely blown out by North Texas, but Robert Henry Jr. is a player that I did a TikTok on. If you guys aren't following me on TikTok, be sure to do that because I'll do all sorts of film breakdowns on a lot of these prospects that we're going over. He is one of the most explosive running backs that I have seen in recent years. In week 1 against Texas A&M, he had a 75-yard run. Against Texas State in week 2, he had another 75-yard run. Against Incarnate Word in week 3, he had a 74-yard run. Against Colorado State, he had a 76-yard run. And then today, he has a 72-yard run. That is his 5th run, at least, of 70 or more yards. That is a ridiculous number. 12 attempts, 138 yards, a touchdown. This is a top 10 running back in the draft class. And if you're not familiar with him, get familiar with him because his explosiveness, his vision, his ability to make guys miss in the open field are top tier in this class. And he has been absolutely out of this world for the Roadrunners this year. I know they haven't been super awesome in the win column, but Robert Henry is not to blame for that. He's been incredible in another really impressive week. I just had to talk about him here on the channel. Another player, look, the box score is not going to do enough justice to how I felt Sam Leavitt played today against Texas Tech. He had some interesting moments in this game overall, but a guy that was coming off of injury was kind of questionable, it felt like, for a lot of the week. Ends up going 28 of 47, 319 yards and a touchdown. And you're going to look at that and you're like, the accuracy wasn't all that great. But he was really good. And I know there were some moments in this game where there could have been some interceptions and some missed opportunities from the Texas Tech defense. But for him to play the way he played against that defensive line that was all over him in this game. David Bailey had another impressive performance. Lee Hunter made plays. Romello Heights. This guy stood in the pocket, made incredible plays. The ability to play outside of structure with Sam Leavitt and make plays with his legs on the move, throwing with touch. He is such a fun player to watch. I think he was incredible today against Texas Tech because of his ability to make plays with his legs. I think he's so hard to bring down. He's a quick decision maker, quick processor, and I thought he had a really impressive day. I don't think the box score is going to do enough justice to how he willed this team to victory, particularly on that last drive, the 4th down where he scrambles out to his right, finds Jordan Tyson. It was all plays like that all day long that helped Arizona State get a statement win in the Big 12 and put themselves right back in the Big 12 title mix. So big performance from Sam Leavitt. I was really, really impressed with him today. Back to the running backs, though. Noah Whittington. I don't know if this is the first time we've talked about him on this series. We may have talked about him one other time, but Noah Whittington was a player another guy that I watched over the summer and wasn't very impressed by. 5'8", 200 pounds, bit of an older prospect at 24 years old. He's not very big, but he has been one of the most impressive running backs in the Big Ten, at least this year. 11 carries, 125 yards, 2 touchdowns for Oregon, who, by the way, I got to do a little more research. 750 total yards of offense for Oregon today. Unbelievable number from the Ducks. Noah Whittington with 134 of those, if you're including his air yards. Really impressive player that he's just a smart running back. I think this is a guy that is going to play in the league. Even if he is an undrafted pickup, I think he can make an NFL roster because his vision and his breakaway speed are really, really impressive. He sees rushing lanes really, really well. He's got great contact balance for a smaller back. He's constantly fighting for extra yardage, falling forward. He is really impressive in the open field, and he's been a big play machine this year. A lot of people thought Mekhi Hughes is going to be the guy in this running back room for Oregon. He is redshirting this year, probably going to hit the portal again, but for Noah Whittington to step up the way he has, and these young freshman backs that Oregon has, their run game is really, really impressive, and Noah Whittington continues to really impress me this year. Another really good week from him against Rutgers. Ethan Kaliakmanis, though, wow, what an awful performance. I get it. Oregon is a good defense. They have great playmakers. The secondary is their weakness, though. Like, they've got a good defensive line. The linebackers are pretty good. The secondary, if there is a weakness on this Oregon team, it is the secondary. Ethan Kaliakmanis with one of the worst stat lines you're ever going to see from a quarterback. 8 of 25, 79 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 picks. Kaliakmanis is a player that I still think he can be a early day 3 pick. But this type of performance it's not acceptable in any way. And his pocket feel and his accuracy were 2 questions that I had, because when he misses high. And that's dangerous because you have the tendency to throw picks. And when he's under pressure, he does not make good decisions. I wasn't locked in on this game like I should have been, but I can imagine there was a lot of pressure in this game because the Rutgers O-line hasn't been particularly good. You're going up against a really good defensive line for Oregon, and he put up an absolutely awful performance. 79 yards is not going to cut it. 2 picks. We'll see if he's able to bounce back from this, but one of the worst quarterbacking performances of the week. Anthony Hill Jr. We don't have to talk about this game, Texas fans. Not going to mention it at all. We'll talk about Anthony Hill, though. He's been pretty quiet, I feel like, to start this year. Haven't really seen him pop off in any sort of game. He was okay, I would say, against Oklahoma, where, he made some plays in that game, but a guy that I hadn't really felt his presence this year. I thought he had the best game of his season so far. 8 solo tackles, 4 assists, had an interception, had a pass breakup in this game. The coverage aspect this year has been slightly better than it was last year, and that's a big thing with Anthony Hill because we know the athletic traits are there. He is a guy that moves well in the open field. He can be used as a blitzer, but the coverage aspect of the linebacker position is something that I felt Anthony Hill was heavily lacking in, but he put up a good performance today against Kentucky. The pick, right place, right time, makes a play on the football. That's the type of stuff you want to see. I don't think he's ever going to be a lockdown, like Fred Warner type of coverage defender, but if he can show you consistency there, that's pretty exciting. I also think he continues to be very reliable as a tackler this year. Just a 2.8% missed tackle rate this year, which is a career high for him. So all signs pointing in the right direction for Anthony Hill. I still think this is a top 50 to 100 player in the class. I really like Anthony Hill Jr. Then he had a good day against Kentucky. Zacchaeus Wheatley out of Penn State. Penn State loses another game, but Wheatley has picked up really nicely for a Penn State team that seemingly consistently is losing safeties. They lost 2 to the NFL in Jalen Reed and Kevin Winston. Wheatley steps in and has been very good for this team. I mean, one of the more impressive safeties that I didn't see it with this offseason, but He's made plays on the football this year. He's got a pass breakup. He's been a really reliable tackler, making good plays as a run defender. He's 6'2", 202 pounds. He profiles better as a box safety. I think he's better at around the line of scrimmage where he can make plays in the run game. But he's been really good, had an interception his first of the year. Wanted to give him a shout out because we haven't really gotten an opportunity to talk about him much on this channel. But the last guy we have to talk about is Jadarian Price, who is having an incredible season. I didn't see the vision with Jadarian Price this offseason when I did my running back rankings. I had him at around my running back 12. Man, he has been out of this world for the Notre Dame offense. The speed element and the explosiveness factor that he brings to this team, who also has Jeremiah Love. This is the best running back duo probably since Todd Gurley and Nick Chubb. Like, I'm not just saying that. Both of these guys have the opportunity to make incredible plays. And Jadarian Price had an incredible day and kind of saved this game in a couple of instances. Had a big carry for like 32 yards early in this game that really set Notre Dame up nicely. Has the kick return touchdown immediately after Christian Gray gives up the big touchdown to Jacoby Lane. He is a explosive playmaker that is so hard to bring down in the open field. 5'11", 202 pounds. He's super light on his feet. He's shifty. He's hard to tackle. This is a top 5 running back in this class. Notre Dame has 2 of them. Jadarian Price has been incredible this year, and I had to shout him out. But that's going to do it for me in today's video. If you guys want to let me know in the comment section, who do you guys think deserves that arrow up or arrow down? Leave a like, subscribe if you are new, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.